Have you ever felt the weight of despair so heavy on your heart that it feels impossible to breathe? I remember a time when the darkness was all I could see. I felt like a ship lost at sea, tossed by waves of grief, pain, and disappointment. It was as if each wave sought to drown me in my own tears. I felt broken, shattered into a million pieces. The world around me seemed to keep turning, but I was stuck, paralyzed by the weight of my own heartache. In that sea of despair, I felt utterly alone. Yet it was in that very darkness that I discovered a profound truth, a truth that shone like a lighthouse beacon through the foggy night of my sorrow. That truth was this: God is close to the brokenhearted. He sees us. He knows our pain. He understands the weight of despair we carry. In those moments of utter despair, the truth that God is close to the brokenhearted is more than just a comforting thought. We are not alone in our experiences of heartbreak and despair. Many have walked this path before us and have found comfort in God's presence. Let's take a moment to listen to the stories of those who have experienced God's closeness in the midst of their heartbreak. Their narratives are a testament to the power of faith and the comfort that comes from knowing you are never alone. First, we hear from Mary, who lost her husband of 40 years. In the depths of her grief, she felt a peace that surpassed understanding. She shares, "In my darkest hour, I felt a warmth, a presence. It was as though God Himself was sitting beside me, sharing my grief." Next, we hear from John, who battled a life-threatening illness. He says, "I was terrified. I felt so alone. But then, in the silence of the night, I felt a hand on my shoulder. Though I was physically alone, I knew I wasn't truly alone. God was there with me, walking me through this difficult journey." And then there's Sarah, who suffered a devastating loss when her son was taken from her too soon. She recounts, "I was shattered. I didn't think I could go on. But in my despair, I felt a gentle whisper in my heart. I am here. You are not alone." It was God, reaching out to me in my sorrow. We also hear from Michael, who faced financial ruin. He tells us, "I was on the brink of losing everything, but in my despair, I felt an inexplicable peace. I realized that even if I lost everything, I still had God, and that was all I needed." Through their stories, we see that God's promise to be close to the brokenhearted is not just a phrase, but a reality experienced by many. Each of these individuals found comfort, peace, and strength in the midst of their pain. They experienced the closeness of God in their darkest moments, a testament to His unfailing love and compassion. God's promise to the brokenhearted extends beyond mere presence. He promises comfort and healing to those crushed in spirit. This is not a hollow assurance. Rather, it is a guarantee recorded in the sacred pages of the Bible, offering a lifeline of hope to those in despair. In the book of Psalms, we find a beautiful declaration. "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." This verse is more than a poetic sentiment. It is a divine truth, a testament to God's enduring compassion and His healing power. Similarly, in the book of Isaiah, God's promise is reaffirmed. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. This is a vivid portrayal of a caring, tender God who not only acknowledges our wounds, but actively works to mend them. But what does this promise look like in real life? Let's consider some testimonials. Take the story of Sarah, who, after years of battling a debilitating illness, experienced a miraculous recovery. She attributes her healing to her faith in God's promise. Or consider the testimony of James, who in the depths of grief after losing a loved one, found solace and strength in God's comforting presence. These are not isolated instances. Rather, they are echoes of a universal truth, that God's healing and comfort are real, available, and transformative. These stories, alongside countless others, serve as poignant reminders of the promise made by a loving God. A promise that transcends time and circumstances, offering solace to the weary and restoration to the broken. So, if you're feeling crushed in spirit, remember this promise, cling to it. Let it be the anchor that steadies you amidst life's stormy seas. Let it be the light that pierces through your darkest nights. God's promise of comfort and healing is a beacon of hope for those crushed in spirit. His love is steadfast, His healing is real, and his comfort is a gentle balm for the weary soul. So let's take heart, for in our brokenness, we are not alone. In our despair, we are not forgotten. In our pain, we are not without hope. Because God is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those crushed in spirit. Throughout our lives, we will face moments of despair and heartbreak. But remember, God is close to the brokenhearted. In this journey we call life, each of us is bound to encounter trials and tribulations. These moments may feel overwhelming, like a storm that threatens to engulf us. But in the midst of the turmoil, there is a beacon of hope, a steadfast presence that never wavers. God. He is not a distant observer, watching us from afar. No, he is intimately close, understanding the depths of our despair, feeling the weight of our loss, and sharing in our heartache. When our hearts are shattered, when our spirits are crushed, he is there. His love surrounds us, offering comfort and healing like a balm for our wounded souls. And it's not just our emotional and spiritual well-being that he cares about. He is also our protector, our shield against harm. He knows us deeply, down to the very core of our being, and he promises to safeguard every part of us. When we feel weak and vulnerable, he is our fortress, strengthening us and shielding us from harm. In a world where evil often seems to have the upper hand, we can take solace in the fact that God is a righteous judge. He sees the injustices, the oppression, the wrongdoings, and he will not let them go unpunished. He will bring justice, condemning the evil and holding the oppressors accountable for their actions. So when the world feels too heavy, when your heart feels too shattered, remember this: God is with you. He carries your burdens. He restores your hope. He fights for you, and he sustains you through your suffering. Trust in the Lord. He is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. He protects all our bones, and he will bring justice to this world. Rely on him and his promises, for he is always faithful.